What's up everyone, welcome to our channel, or welcome back if you've been here before. Thank you so much for clicking on today's video where I'm going to be doing a pretty massive book haul. We haven't done a book haul. I happened to look back on our videos last night. It's been 5 months, and actually it's almost been 6 months since we've done a book haul. So I sat down today and there's no way that I could make a video about all the books we've bought in the last 5 months. So I took some of the highlights of books that I've bought in the last 5 months. I say I because these are mine. Casey's could be a whole nother separate video. But yeah, I am gonna do my best to describe these books to you. I actually took a little bit of notes before making the video so I can make it as detailed as possible without taking entirely too long to do this video. I've also separated them into categories. So I have a TikTok romance category, a fantasy category, a romance, like general rom-com romance category, an author category where I have just all the books by one author, and then a Regency Romance category. So I'm going to separate this video off into those categories. So if there's something that you are more looking for than others, then feel free to skip around in the video to find what you came here for. Or if you want to see all of them, then they'll all be here in this video. So let's get started. I'm going to start with the TikTok romance category because it's the one right in front of me. And also that's like what's most popular right now. So I figured maybe you're here to see that. So that's what we're going to get started with and then work our way through the categories. So the first book I have laying here is Twisted Love. So this is very popular right now. Most people are reading it. I decided to go ahead and get the paperback copy of it. It is available on Kindle Unlimited, but yeah. So basically what this book is about is it's about our main character, Ava, and she's the female and the guy's name is Alex. And he is very wealthy and very intelligent. And the only thing I don't like about this trope is it is kind of patronizing, to be honest. But basically her brother Ava is going out of town and he asks his best friend Alex to like kind of help keep an eye on her because she has a crazy ex-boyfriend who is stalking her and he just wants someone to help keep an eye on her. I don't really like that trope because I feel like women can take care of themselves, but is very popular. People love their writing. They love their romance and their story. So I figured that I would give it a try. All right, so the next popular romance book I have is called Things We Never Got Over. This is the story about a girl who is a runaway bride. So she runs away from her wedding and she's actually going to look for her twin who lives in Virginia and is literally described as her evil twin. And from what it sounds like from the synopsis, she moves to this town, like runs away from her wedding to find her twin sister. Her twin sister takes her car and leaves her child. So her twin sister has the child, just leaves the child and skips town with the main character's car. The main character's name is escaping me right now. What is her name? Naomi. And so Naomi is left with her twin sister's child in this town with no car, no job, no anything. Insert the main male romance character who is very introverted and like tries to be like excluded from town, excluded from like all social events and everything. And he has no interest in dating. And so she stumbles into his life, and this is like the story of them, I guess, getting together and taking care of the kid. But that's kind of like the main synopsis. It's a pretty thick book, as you can see here. So yeah, I believe this is available on Kindle Unlimited as well, but I'm not 100% positive. The next TikTok hyped book that I have here is called The Sweetest Oblivion. I refused to read a mafia romance for the longest time because I felt like it was like the dumbest trope, but people have sold me and said this one's really good and it's worth my time. Basically, the trope here is this girl is like a major figure in the mafia, and her sister, so she basically skips town and then comes back for some reason, but her sister is arranged to marry this like, you know, bad boy mafia dude. And from the sounds of the synopsis, it sounds like she ends up falling in love with him. So that would be her brother-in-law. And there's a whole lot of mafia drama and like, I guess, murder and crime. And that's the gist of the story that I got from reading the synopsis of it. It sounds like the author didn't want to tell us a whole lot before making like the synopsis. So that's how I'm going to go into the book. It is a really nice hardback. Like, these are really expensive on Amazon, so I hope I like the book. If not, I'm definitely going to resell it on Pango. That's actually how I bought a lot of these books. I've sold almost $400 worth of books on Pango at this point, like a ridiculous amount. So my theory is if I don't like any of these, I'm just going to resell them on Pango. That's like my slogan these days. So the next hype book I have here is Flock. This comes from a trilogy by Kate Stewart. I'm going to read you the back of this one because when I was writing on the synopsis, I felt like this one was kind of hard to define. It says, can you keep a secret? I grew up sick. Let me clarify. I grew up believing that real love stories include a matchery, I'm not sure, or demand great sacrifice to be worthy. Because of that, I believed it. Because I made myself believe it, and I bred the most masochist. I know this word. Masochistic, yeah, of romantic hearts, which resulted in my illness. When I lived this story, my own twist of fairy tale, it was unbeknownst to me that the time, because I was young and naive, I gave into temptation and fed the beating beast, which grew thirstier with every slash, every strike, every blow. Okay, there's more to the synopsis. I'm going to continue to read, but the reason I didn't pick up this book for the longest time is because I felt like this was really dramatic and like kind of ridiculous, but everyone says that it's a really good story and it has a lot of heart. So Triple Falls wasn't all what it seemed, nor were the men that swept me under their wing. But in order to keep them, I had to be in on their secrets. Secrets that cost us everything to keep. That's the novelty of fiction versus reality. You can't relive your own love story because by the time you've realized you're living it, it's over. At last, that was the case for me when the men I trusted my foolish heart to. Looking back, I'm convinced I willed my story into existence due to my illness, and all were punished. It's a very at times poetic, at times dramatic and absurd. But what really sold me was this quote. There's a novelty of fiction versus reality. You can't relive your own love story because by the time you've realized you're living it, it's over. So yeah, that's what sold me. And then all the reviews about it that are really popular. And then next, I have the fine print. This is really, 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 really hyped on booktok. This is the story about a billionaire who is building this theme park based on fairy tales. And then, I believe she works for him. It says, after submitting a drunk proposal criticizing Dreamland's most expensive ride. So that's kind of what brings the main character who's a billionaire and the love interest who submitted a critique of the most important and expensive ride. That's how they become acquainted. And it seems like it's the story of them getting together through that, and she's trying to teach him that money can't buy him everything because he's very, very rich from this theme park. So yeah, that's also very nice paperback. All these independently published paperbacks that I'm showing you are so nice. Kind of in a category of its own is just a Colleen Hoover book I felt compelled to buy. This is one of her earlier works. It's called Maybe Someday. It's the story of Sydney and Ridge. So Sydney is dating this guy, and she finds out, this is in the synopsis, it's not a spoiler, she finds out that her roommate has been sleeping with her boyfriend, and so they separate. And then her neighbor Ridge, he plays guitar at night. She falls in love with his music, and she also, I believe, likes to write lyrics. I'm not sure, but Ridge is deaf, and I love that representation. I took sign language in high school, and granted, I just skimmed the surface of the community and the culture and learning to sign, but I have a big interest in it. And my teacher in high school made a big point for us to learn the culture, learn terminology, learn about what deaf families, how they usually operate, and just the culture. It is a whole culture of people that are often left out in things. And so hopefully Colleen Hoover, if I assume correctly, does that justice. But because I love that trope, I wanted to pick this up and see how she does that. This is very TikTok hyped, which is why I included it in the TikTok hyped section of this video. So that's going to conclude that aspect. What I'm doing is trying to pick them up to show you guys all the spines of them. So these are mostly, actually, they're all independently published books, and they just look really nice together. I love the spines, everything. So in order to give people here who may have not come for romance, because most of the rest of this video is going to be romance of some sort, I will go ahead and touch on the fantasy / dystopian / non-romance section of this video. So up first, I have The Measure. This just came out, and it's super popular, super hyped. People are talking about this nonstop. It's actually our Patreon main pick for August because people are so excited to read this. So I'm trying to go into this book as blind as possible. I actually didn't read the synopsis of this. So if you want to do that on your own, you're welcome to. But given what it's about, I wanted to go in knowing as little as possible. And that's this one sentence. The people in this world know how they're going to die. And I believe they also know when. Yeah, I'm not absolutely sure if they know when. It's extra people. Yeah, okay, so I'll just read you like the first two sentences because I don't really want to read further than that. It says, "It seems like any other day, you wake up, pour a cup of coffee, and head out. But today, when you open your front door, waiting for you is a small wooden box. This box holds your fate, the exact number of years you will live." Okay, so maybe you don't know how you're going to die, but you know when you're going to die. So I feel like that's a really interesting concept, and it's gotten really good reviews. And yeah, I'll be reading it next month for our Patreon. So I'm very excited that they picked that. Next is a book that I had heard about a while ago, but it actually just released. It's called Into the Mist by PC Cast. So this book is, I believe, her or their, I don't remember, I can't remember if they're a duo or if it's just a woman who writes this. Basically the synopsis of this is that the US has just been attacked, and also the world and society is kind of collapsing. Not too off from our current life, but basically there is like a bomb, or this big event is dropped. I believe it's a bomb that's dropped, and this green mist comes out everywhere. And when that happens, some people got extraordinary abilities from it. Basically, they become superhuman in some way. This takes place, it's a story of 6 English teachers who are on their way back, or professors, I believe they teach at a college level, are on their way back from a conference when the green mist happens, and they get these extraordinary abilities. This is for fans of Station 11. It's also a very feminist story because it centers around these female main characters. I also believe that men in the society, the mist affects them worse, and I think it gives the women more powers. So I just thought this was an interesting take on a dystopian society. Like, this green mist seems very intriguing to me, how it affects people differently. I also am very excited to dive into like the different powers and different things that happen to these characters. Let me take the receipt out because it continues to fall out when I try to open this. But there's also this really cool map at the front of the book that I picked up in the store and thought was really cool. So yeah, I'm very excited to read this. I think PC Cast's most recent book didn't get the best reviews, but you know, whatever. Yeah, it says it's supposed to dive into like community. Oh, it says for fans of practical magic and Station 11. So yeah, very excited to read this. Okay, next I bought Sorcery of Thorns because I want to make it through all of Margaret Rogerson's books. Sorcery of Thorns is a YA fantasy novel. It's about this girl who protects this, I believe the library is magical. Yeah. It says Elizabeth has known that as long as she has known anything, that all sorcerers are evil. Raised as a foundling in one of Astromere's great libraries, Elizabeth has grown up among magical grimoires that rattle beneath iron chains, capable of transforming into gruesome monsters. So basically, one day, one of them gets free, and she's blamed for it and charged with treason. Her only hope of like getting out of this and surviving this world is a sorcerer who is her sworn enemy. His name is Nathaniel Thorn. I don't believe there is a romantic part of this story because I have heard this is an asexual representation. Not positive if that's true. I'll read to find out for myself. But yeah, people either really love or really hate this book, which really intrigues me. So I wanted to get my hands on that copy. Next, I have An Arrow to the Moon. This is actually the Fairy Loot copy of this book. It's really funny. In our Discord, I was talking about how I had a dream that I bought this book. And I was like, if you dream that you buy a book, does that mean that you actually should buy it? And everyone was like, yeah, you absolutely should buy it. So after like a literal like month or two of thinking about it, I found a really good copy of it pretty cheap. And the person also had a sticker set that I wanted. So I went ahead and bought the book finally. So this is a Romeo and Juliet retelling that mixes in Chinese mythology. Basically tells the story of Hunter and Luna. And they are basically, Hunter lives in like this town, and then Luna is new to town, I believe, or the other way around. Live Eternal Sound. Yeah, okay, so he's new. He's the new boy in her class. And it's the story of their love, but also they have a family feud where like, and it doesn't really detail why they have that family feud, but they have this family feud where they're not supposed to like speak, let alone fall in love. It also has magical realism. People have said their writing is absolutely beautiful. And then I really loved this copy. I don't believe it's special in any other way, but it is signed. So yeah, I've heard really good reviews of it as well. very, very quickly, because the synopsis is very vague of this, a throwback that I wanted to get to that I bought is Rebel of the Sands. This is a like YA fantasy desert story about a gunslinger who is actually female trying to escape, and this boy who helps her do it. Literally, that's all I have to say about this book. It is a throwback. People really loved it. The synopsis is extremely vague. I'm guessing that's for a reason and a purpose. So we'll leave it there. Next and final for the fantasy / dystopian other section of this video, I have Wild and Wicked Things. This was recommended to me by my friend Sio, so shout out to you for pointing this book my way. It has deckled edges. It's very, very nice. I don't know if there's, yeah, there's nothing cute on like the front for the hardback, but I'm actually going to quickly read you the synopsis of this because when I was taking notes to make this video, it was a little bit too difficult for me to explain. So I'm going to quickly read you that. I'm going to butcher these people's names and towns, so please just bear with me while I read this. But it says, on Crow Island, people whisper that real magic lurks just below the surface. Magic doesn't interest Annie Mason, not after it stole her future. She's on the island only to settle her late father's estate and hopefully reconnect with her long-absent best friend Beatrice, who fled their dreary lives for a more glamorous one. Yet Crow Island is brimming with temptation. The most memorizing may be her enigmatic new neighbor. What is it?
Huh?
How do you say it?
What is it?
I thought you just told me how to say it. Enigmatic? Enigmatic? Enigmatic.
Yeah,
Enigmatic. Okay, new neighbor. Mysterious and alluring, Emmeline is a figure shadowed by rumors of witchcraft. And when Annie witnesses a confrontation between Bay, I guess that's short for Beatrice, so maybe it's B, I don't know, and Emmeline at one of Crow Island's extravagant parties, she is drawn into a glittering haunted world, a world where the boundaries of wickedness are tested and the cost of illicit magic might be death. So apparently this is also like very atmospheric. It's very slow, but it is a sapphic story. So that's really what appealed me to it, with like magic and witches. And yeah, very excited to read that. So once again, like I've been doing with all the categories, I will show you the spines of these. I keep wanting to like push my glasses up, but they're not there. All right, so the next section of this video that we're going to talk about is basically romantic comedy / just general romance, not TikTok, not super smutty, just general romance. So yeah, the first one that I have here came out recently. It's called 1,000 Miles. I love this cover. I love most of these covers, to be honest, but this is the story of Dee and Ben. So Dee is the female main character, and she runs a podcast talking about, it's called Did I Forget to Tell You, where she interviews family, friends, and past lovers. Nothing is off limits except for one man known only as Name Redacted. So that Name Redacted dude, his name is Ben. They were high school best friends, and when they were younger, they drove to his grandmother's house and buried a time capsule that they swore in 10 years they would unravel. So basically through that 10 years, their friendship falls apart. They don't tell you why. You got to figure that out in the book. So 10 years passes, and his grandma calls him one day and tells him like this horrible family secret. And I don't know what that is, but whatever it is, it makes Ben want to live his life to the fullest extent. So he shows up at Bree's house. Bree, that was her name? No, Dee. Dee's house one day randomly and is like, come with me. We got to go pull out this time capsule. We got to figure out this mess between us. I want to live my life to the fullest. So this is the story of 1,000 Miles, a road trip that they take together to go open this time capsule. And that just was really appealing to me. So I'm really excited to read that. Next up, I have the cheat sheet. So we're starting a book club. My friends Neve and I, based off this channel, are starting a book club called the Left on Red Book Club. She coined that term. I think it's absolutely genius. And so this is going to be our first pick in August. We're also doing Love on the Brain, which isn't out yet. So if you want to join that, the link will be in the description box below. But I'm very excited to read books with you guys and start this book club. I've also been trying to get Casey to start her own horror book club of some sort. Maybe she will one day, but we're going to pilot with this romance book club and see how it goes. This is a best friends to lovers story. Basically, our main character, I forget these people's names. Her name is Bree, and his name, what is his name? Nathan. Bree and Nathan. I feel like those are such common romance names, but her best friend Nathan is a very famous NFL player, and she is a dancer, but she gets into this really bad accident and can't dance anymore. So she opens this dance studio, but the rent keeps going up and she can't afford it. So without her permission, he buys the dance studio, and that really makes her mad. But she's really happy that she gets to keep the dance studio. And one day, a TMZ reporter is reporting on her in the dance studio, and she confides in the reporter, I think like off market, that she's actually like in love with Nathan, and or has been, or like really likes him. And so of course that TMZ reporter wants to make a good story, so that person goes out and reports that. And so they for some reason engage in a fake dating relationship and agree to only do it for 3 weeks. We always know how that goes, like, come on guys. So it's basically the story of what happens after that, and it has really good rating, really good reviews. So I'm really excited to see what Neve and I think about the book, but also like what the people in the book club think about the book. And we'll be having a live discussion of that with you guys, which will be very fun and very exciting. If you can't make it to that, it will be uploaded for you guys to watch later if you want to hear our thoughts, and the people's in the book club's thoughts on the book if you don't care to join. So next, I also have a book that was recommended by a friend. Her name is Devin. She read an arc of this called How to Fake It in Hollywood. She said this is a very it's about grief, so it's kind of romance plus, meaning you get more out of the story than just the romance. And this is the story of this girl right here, who is a teen soap opera actress, and she's a failed actress. I think the teen show did not go very far, did not do very good. And it's also the story of this, what they deemed as like heartthrob, I hate that word, dude who is also an actor, but he was making this movie with his best friend, and his best friend died. And because of that, he's really struggling with grief. He falls into alcoholism. He stops making movies. He kind of just, he also like gets a divorce that was high profile. And so he just kind of moves into the background, but he decides he really wants to produce this movie. And it says a gossip-inducing affair with a gorgeous actress might be the ticket, even if it's the last thing he wants to do. So she's trying to like get out into the romance game. He's trying to make this movie. So they end up, I believe, in a fake dating relationship. And also the girl's, what are they called? Like a manager thinks that it would help her to get with him. Like it would help her career, which is not out of the ordinary in real life. So yeah, it's kind of the story of them and where that takes them. Next, I have a book called American Royalty, which I'm really surprised I haven't heard anyone talking about. It is a fairly new release, but it's basically, it's been pitched as kind of like Meghan and Harry's story, because like she's a rapper. This girl right here is a rapper. He is like a royalty of some sort, a prince. And basically they both have had really bad press recently. And through that really bad press, they kind of get together to try to give each other good press. But what his family doesn't know is she's like not the image of what they want him to be with. Like she's a rapper. I think like she performs in like strip clubs. Like she's like a hip hop star. I don't know if that like they just make it sound like her, like what they don't like her appearance. But he like falls in love with her anyway, which is very in tune with kind of Meghan's story and Harry's. So I really loved that, even though I don't really care about the royal family or their politics, but I do love Meghan Markle, and I watched her when she played in Suits. And so I'm really excited to read that book. So next I have Maggie Moves On. This also just released, but it has gotten really good reviews. Basically, the story here is our main character. Her name is, in fact, Maggie, right? Yeah, that would be awkward if her name was not Maggie. But her job is she's a YouTube star who renovates and flips houses, which is really cool because usually we only hear about men doing that, or like the women are just the interior designers, but like she does it all on her own. She travels around the country everywhere doing this. And so she travels to this like small remote town, I believe in Oregon, in Idaho. It's like this small town. All she brings with her is a cot and a coffee maker. And she's gonna restore this crumbling Victorian home. Well, this dude keeps showing up. I think maybe in this picture it looks like he does some of the lawn stuff, but and her team. Yeah, so he is in fact the landscaper, and he keeps like shamelessly flirting with her, and at first she doesn't really like that, but I think over time they like grow to really like each other. And basically they're faced with this decision at the end of flipping the house, is are they going to stay together or not, because she has to move, and if she doesn't move then her career could end, because basically, you know, her whole career is moving around the country and flipping these homes for YouTube. So I thought that was a pretty interesting take on the romance. And Lucy Score, who's the author of it, is very popular and very well known for her indie romance novels, which I have not read, but this was her first like major published novel, and it seems to be like smutty, but like less smutty than what she usually does, which I'm more here for. And then last in this section of the video, I have the Dead Romantics. I apologize, I'm kind of losing my voice a little bit because this is a lot of talking at once, and I'm not, even though I'm a counselor, I feel like I'm not used to talking this much at once. But this is the story about our main character, and I'm forgetting all of their names because it's so many of them. Her name is Florence, and she is a ghostwriter for a very popular romance, very prolific. She's, okay, let me just read the sentence. Florence Day is the ghostwriter for one of the most prolific romance authors in the industry, and she has a problem. After a terrible breakup, she no longer believes in love. It's as good as dead. So basically, she has this new editor, and he's very harsh on her, and he gives her this deadline that she feels like she cannot meet, but he's like, no excuses, you got to get it done, I don't care. And so then one day she gets a call that her dad has died, and she needs to go home to bury him. When she gets to the funeral home, a ghost shows up, and it is her editor, and she's like, wait, you died? And he's like, I don't know what's happening. And so it's kind of about them discovering life and love and what that means for them. I don't know if they actually fall in love. I would assume so because it's a romance novel, but I guess we have to read to find out. Oh, let me show you the spines of all of them, because like, look at that. Isn't that so nice? So satisfying. All right, we have 2 categories left to go. They shouldn't take too much longer. I know this video has already been kind of long, but so we're gonna go down a, I'm not actually positive how to say her name. It's either Mariana or Mariana, or I'm not sure, but Zapata. Everybody just calls her, like, I always just hear Zapata. So those are the books that we're gonna go through. Her back of her books are pretty short and self-explanatory, so I'm going to read you those quickly. But the first one I have is Under Lock. This is what the cover looks like, and I'll just read that for you. It says, after moving to Austin following 6 months of unemployment back home, Iris Taylor knows she should be glad to have landed a job so quickly, even if the business is owned by a member of the same motorcycle club her estranged father used to belong to. Except Dex Locke might just be the biggest jerk she's ever met. He's rude, impatient, and doesn't know how to tell time. And the last thing they ever expected was each other. But it was either the strip club or the tattoo shop, and she should have chosen the strip club. So before I bought any of these books, I read quotes from the books to make sure I was actually going to get something out of it, and there was going to be something like worth my time. And all of her quotes are always seem very profound given how silly some of the synopsis sounds. And she's also like the queen of slow burn, and I love slow burn. Like, slow burn is what I'm there for. I'm there for the character development and for them to develop together. So all of these books are going to be slow burn romance, and they're all pretty chunky. This is actually the smallest one out of all of them that I have here. All right, so the next one I have is The Wall of Winnipeg and Me, I believe is how you say that. So I'll read this. Vanessa knows she's doing the right thing. She shouldn't feel bad for quitting. Being an assistant / housekeeper / fairy godmother to the top defensive end in the National Football Organization was always supposed to be temporary. She has plans, and none of them will include washing extra large underwear longer than necessary. But when Aiden Graves shows up at her door wanting her to come back, she's beyond shocked. For 2 years, the man known as the Wall of Winnipeg couldn't even find it in him to tell her good morning or congratulate her on her birthday. Now, he's asking for the unthinkable. What do you say to the man who is used to getting everything he wants? So I assume this has a lot of character development in it, given the synopsis. And again, some of these sound really silly, but the reviews and the quotes that I've read from them sound like she writes a lot of depth in her characters, which is what I absolutely love. And like, you can see, they are like 600 pages. So slow burn, it is. And this one's called Culti. This is one of the more popular ones. It says, "Trust me, I've wanted to punch you in the face a time or 5. When the man you worshipped as a kid becomes your coach, it's supposed to be the greatest thing in the world." Keyword, supposed to be. It didn't take a week for 27-year-old Sal to wonder what she'd seen in the international soccer icon, why'd she'd ever had his posters on her wall or even envisioned marrying him and having soccer playing super babies. Now, she liked this dude when she was younger, but she's 27 now, so it's not like she's a child. It is age gap, I believe, but like she's well into adulthood enough to make her own decisions. Sal had long gotten over the worst non-breakup in the history of imaginary relationships with a man that hadn't known she'd existed. So she isn't prepared for this version of Reiner, I'm not sure how to say his name, who shows up to the team's season, a quiet, reclusive shadow of the expulsive, passionate man he'd once been. Nothing could have prepared her for the man she'd got to know or the murderous urges he brought out in her. This was going to be the longest season of her life. I do like sports a lot, so I'm very excited for both of those sports ones. Next is Luna and the Lie, also very thick book. This one says, "The problem with secrets is that they're too easy to keep collecting. Luna Allen has done some things that she would rather no one ever know about. She also knows that if she could go back in time, she wouldn't change a single thing. Her 3 sisters she loves, a job she mostly adores, and a family built up of friends she's made over the years. Luna figures everything has worked out the way it was supposed to. But when one of these secrets involves the man who signs her paycheck, she can't find it in her to regret it. Despite the fact that he's not the friendliest man in the world or the most patient, sometimes there are things you're better off keeping to yourself." Very vague synopsis there. Also a very popular one. And lastly, I actually bought this one a little while ago, but I don't know that I've included in any videos, so I thought I would include it in this haul with all of her other books. And it's All Roads Lead Here. And it says, "Losing people you love is hard. Aurora de la Turio? I'm not sure, but we'll call her Aurora because I know that's right. Knows moving back to a place that was once home isn't going to be easy. Starting her life over probably isn't supposed to be, but a small town in the mountains might be the perfect remedy for a broken heart. Checking out her landlord across the driveway just might cure it too." Very vague. Also heard it actually has a very deep character development despite the synopsis. So I will show you all the spines because we love that. These are pretty heavy because they're big books, but very exciting. Okay, if you've made it this far in the video, wow, you're a trooper. But we're going to our last category, and so thank you for sitting here through this entire thing. So this last category is going to be Regency Romance. It's a category or a genre of books that I've recently really gotten into because I found that Regency humor like really hits my humor spot on. It's very absurd and dramatic, but also it's very witty and intelligent at times, and I really love that. And what modern authors have done when they write Regency, even though they have those like shitty social expectations and blah, blah, they've written the women in these stories very powerful and thoughtful and compelling. And really, even though there are these crazy societal things, usually the women run things in these relationships. Like, not saying things were fair for them by any means, but I really feel like modern writers have done a really good job with writing female Regency characters. I'm going to be very vague about a lot of these because they were kind of complicated to explain. This one is called A Lady's Guide to Fortune Hunting, and basically it's about this girl who's entering the season, which if you don't read Regency or know much about that, it just means that she's coming of age and is going to get married, and there are like romance seasons, like in Bridgerton, where there's tons of balls and dances and blah, blah, blah. So basically, she needs to help her sister. She has 3 sisters, and they're very poor, and she just needs to find a man who has money to help her sisters like survive. And that's a real thing. Like, there were people who like really needed to find love to keep their families alive, which is really shitty. But it's why in like Bridgerton they say, oh, it's really rare to have a love match, because there are various other reasons people would get married back then, and still today. But so yeah, that's basically the synopsis of this one. Next is A Curious Beginning. This is a Regency romance with also mystery in it. I actually have avoided reading the back of this because I want to read the covers of this series are absolutely beautiful. There's like 9 books out now, but I know that it's mystery and I want to keep it that way. So it's like Regency romance meets mystery. Next, I have these next two. I only bought the first one because I don't know. Excuse me. I don't know if I'm gonna want to continue the series, and I wanted to just read the first book first. But this is called the Mysterious Society of Lady Scoundrels. It has gotten crazy good reviews. It's basically about this girl who is a thief, and there is a guy after her trying to catch her. Really, all you need to know. It takes place in Regency times. I'm also losing my voice. Surprisingly, the camera is not overheating in here, so that's really nice. But the battery is getting low-ish, but we're still good to go for the rest of the video. Okay, there's two more. So I have Bringing Down the Duke. This is about a woman who is the first female student at Oxford, and she's very, very like clear on her feminist beliefs. And back then, that was like unheard of. And then she meets a dude. It says he's the kingdom's greatest strategist if he couldn't turn the tables and confront Annabelle with an altogether different offer. So he's like targeting her, and he's the commander of Britain's politics. So it's a very political story. The last line says, locked in a battle with rising passion and impossible attraction, Annabelle will learn just what it takes to topple a duke. So yeah, this is also a series, but I wanted to read the first one first to make sure that I like it. I did buy these two because I had a coupon or I think I had a coupon and a gift card. So I went ahead and bought both of them. But I'm not going to read you about the second one because I believe that it takes place about the same couple. If not, it's probably just one of those romance series where there are several different couples like in the same world. But basically it's about a crime writer. It says England, 1865, newspaper columnist Lady Catherine Boscombe finds herself the subject of speculation when her latest article leads to an arrest in a murderous plagued London. And then it's about the detective who is investigating the case. So yeah, that's kind of the story of that. So I know I went through those really quickly, but the Regency Romance, they're all pretty similar. You get the gist. And here's the spines of those. So yeah. We went through 30 books here together. So if you made it this far in the video, thank you so much for watching it. I've been keeping the announcements to the end. Don't really have any big announcements for you, except if you want to support our channel in another way and get exclusive content, we do have a Patreon, which is linked down below. We also have a Discord full of 200 plus people who do reading sprints, hang out, talk about books. We have daily discussions about book topics. It's just a wonderful place to be. The Left Unread Book Club will be starting next month if you would like to join that. Yeah, those are kind of our bigger announcements. We are in the works of a 24-hour readathon that's going to be coming up as well. So yeah, just fun things. The best way to get notified is to be part of the Discord though. So that's where most announcements go out to. But as always, thank you guys so much for watching this video. A very special thank you to our patrons, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.